Hi, this is Rene Auberjonois, and I'm going to attempt to answer these general questions. I hope the quality of this is okay. So I'm going to read the questions first and then answer them. How does it feel to be the only DS9 actor to have done a nude scene? Oh my God. Did I? Well, I wasn't really nude, was I? No. Um, I was in some kind of flesh-colored undies, and I guess I had confidence that it would be tastefully handled, and that they wouldn't be able to air it if it was not done so. And am I really the only DS9 actor? Gosh, with all those beautiful, sexy women, Terry, Nana, Nicole, Chase, it's hard to believe they weren't pretty exposed at some point and more provocatively than I. So I don't have much of a feeling about it. Okay, do you miss hassling Quark on Deep Space Nine? Be honest. Well, Armin is a very good friend of mine. He and his wife, Kitty, and my wife, Judith, and I have dinner, you know, every few weeks or months, or we live very close to each other. So I get to see him, and I'm always hassling him. So that alleviates any kind of feelings of bereavement. I did love doing it, but I don't miss it per se. It was a story well told. We told it, and we've moved on. Mr. Auberjonois, your last name sounds French. Do you speak French? My name is Swiss, from the French part of Switzerland, and I do not really speak French. I did as a child, but then when we came back to the United States after my father served some time in Europe, by the time I was 8 years old, I was back in the United States. And as an 8-year-old in a country school, with a weird name anyway, speaking French was not something I really wanted to show off, so I stopped speaking it, and now I pretty much understand it, and I have a pretty decent accent, but I'm very shy about speaking it, so I would say I really don't speak French. Mr. Auberjonois, do you like to watch the parts you play after you finish them? Rarely. Every once in a while, I'll have a sense that it won't make me too uncomfortable. Um, but most of the time it just makes me uncomfortable. I do my work and I move on. I think that's because of my theater training, where you obviously don't get to see your work when you're finished. Okay, now we're going to talk about Fallout and Mr. House. When you were approached and asked to voice Mr. Robert House in the game Fallout New Vegas, what was your initial response and reaction? Were you approached to voice these characters specifically, or did they offer you a choice of characters to voice? No, the job just came through my agent, and I reported for work and did it. I don't know why they chose me. I have a voice that I guess people can recognize. I've been doing it for so long. I was not given a choice. I was, given the appointment to come in to record. I did that, and they were very nice, and we had a lot of fun doing it, and it was a job, and I did it, and it was fun. One of the challenges of creating a voice for a character like Mr. House, did you use any character reference to create the voice for him? No, I didn't. The director, the producers, the creators of the game were there, They pretty much sketched out what it is they wanted, the kind of attitude they wanted. They didn't want me to do some strange character voice. Often I do that. I'll create a voice which is quite different from my own natural speaking voice. But that was not the case with Mr. House. So I didn't do any deep research, and I didn't base it on anything other than what the lines seemed to indicate and what the creators articulated about the character. Okay, looking at your genre and media spanning career, I guess you're sort of actor who says yes, having said yes to video games as performance art. How do you feel about the medium? Is it an opportunity for legitimate artistic expression, something more akin to filming an advertisement to pay the bills in between projects, or something else? Have new feelings on the medium change? What advice would you give game designers seeking more artistic credibility for their work? I love to do voice work. It doesn't matter what the medium of that voice work is, whether it's cartoons or reading novels or video games. And I particularly at this time of my life, like the freedom it has and the fact that I don't have a lot of lines to memorize. I don't have to be somewhere for a very long time. I can fit it into my schedule, and it's a very gratifying and fulfilling form of work. And yes, it helps pay bills, but I'm at a point in my life where you never have enough, but where I don't really worry about that. So my feelings on the medium have changed only to the extent that I've only done one video game where I was actually in it, physically in it, with the little dots all over me and being shot in, and so my body was used as well as my voice, and that was a different experience. But that's the only one I've ever done. I can't even remember the name of it. You'll probably be able to figure that out. God, what was it called? I don't remember. Anyway, what advice would I give to game designers seeking more artistic credibility for their work? Boy, I'm just always amazed at the imagination of the people who do this, and I certainly would not presume to give any advice. I think they're doing a great job, and I think the medium is expanding and becoming more interesting, and I just stand in awe of the people who do those things. So, no advice. Were you at all familiar with the Fallout series before taking this role? No, I was not at all. Has being a critical character caused you to have an interest in this series? Only if my character was brought back for some reason, which is highly unlikely because I get the sense from people who play the game that they pretty much always kill me off. If given the opportunity to play a part in another game in the series, would you do it again? In a heartbeat. Now, these are questions that assume I played the game, and of course I haven't. How do you feel about Mr. House as a character? I thought he was interesting, enigmatic, and had a lot of fun doing it. What are your personal opinions on House? Really don't have any personal opinions on him. It's just my voice. His backstory, motives, etc. What did you think of the city of New Vegas? Do you think Mr. House did a good job of bringing Las Vegas back? Folks, I've never played the game. I've never seen the game. I'm ashamed to say it for passionate players of the game. I'm sorry, but I've never ever played a video game. I wouldn't know how to begin. How did you like doing MASH? Well, it was the first feature film in which I appeared throughout the movie. I'd done a couple of day player roles in a couple of other films before that, but MASH was the first time I was in it from beginning to end, and it was just one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I am eternally grateful to Robert Altman for casting me in it, and And I have dear friends to this day because of being in that film. Uh, so that's, I loved doing it. Did you ever watch Master TV show? Yeah, a little bit. If so, how would you compare Father Mulcahy in the show to the Father Mulcahy in the movie as a character? I would never compare them. I thought Mr. William Christopher, was wonderful in the role. I chose not to do the series, and I thought he did it wonderfully, and I never regretted not doing it. I created the character, and the character was really basically created around my personality, and I thought William Christopher took it and went on and created it around his personality, and I thought he was terrific. Florida greetings. Big fan of yours in Benson. Say, when will you and Ethan ever reprise your roles as Clayton and Pete at conventions? Well, we did that once, and I think it sort of horrified people. Johnny Phillips, Ethan Phillips, is one of my dearest friends. I love him dearly, and I'm not sure we ever will do that again. Large part of acting is communicating information about the character non-verbally, but with Odo you have a character with a completely featureless face, which would seem to rule out the use of facial expressions and pose serious handicap to any actor. And yet, watching Deep Space Nine, I've never had any trouble following your performance as Odo. Indeed, a number of episodes were quite powerfully acted, something that makes one take for granted while watching show. But reflecting on it, that's a remarkable accomplishment. Could you describe some of the challenges you faced, pardon the pun, with the portraying of Odo and how you surmounted them? Well, as I've said often, I studied mask work at university. I went on in my career in the theater to do a number of productions and plays in which I wore a mask. I taught mask work for a couple of years at Juilliard. I am very experienced in the use of the mask, and I know very well that a mask, rather than actually hiding your emotions, actually can project your emotions, since most of our emotions are projected physically, vocally, and through the eyes, and none of those were in any way curtailed by the face that Odo had to present to the world. So, in fact, rather than finding it a difficulty, I found it really helped me with that character. I think it was the key to the character. I love Deep Space Nine. I love Archer too. Is your character Manfred coming back for any more episodes? Thank you and have a great day. Well, thank you. I don't know. I think he's come back twice. And I would love to go back. I think this series is hysterical, but they haven't asked me to, and so I can't answer that. I'm ready and waiting. The favorite best questions. It's good to have you here, Rene. I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and first wanted to say a big thank you for your work that have been done in that show. That was magnificent. Well, how can I tell you how nice, how great it is to hear that. No matter how many times people tell me that, and I've been fortunate enough to have a number of people tell me that over the years, it warms my heart that work resonates so with people. So thank you very much. My question is, what is your favorite role you ever played on TV or movies besides Odo, of course? Well, as I inferred at the beginning of this list of questions, I find it almost impossible to answer what was the best, what was the most interesting, what was the funniest. I find questions like that just literally, they just stop me in my tracks. I mean, I've done so many roles, and each time I get into a role, I feel like it's the most fun I've had, and I love the character the most, and then I move on, and another character comes down the pike, and seduces me and interests me and makes me feel like it's the best thing I ever got to do. I would say Odo is right up there with the best characters I've ever gotten to play, but many things I've done on the stage, from King Lear, Richard III, Tartuffe, musical comedies on Broadway, movies. I mean, I've had a wonderful, rich career, and to say what my favorite was, I couldn't do it. Hello, Mr. Auberjonois. You have performed in many mediums as an actor. Which one provides the most satisfaction for you in your profession? Well, again, each one offers a different aspect of satisfaction. Um, at the beginning of my career, I knew that I wanted, if possible, to get a chance to try all of them, movies and television and theater, musical comedy, drama, comedy, sitcom. And I've had that chance and I've done it. And I wouldn't say one was better than the other. I would say they were all different and all fulfilling. And I'm just grateful I was given the chance to do it. Dear Mr. Auberjonois, I've read that you used to sing Beatles songs to your children when they were young. What are your favorite Beatles songs to sing? Well, it's true. They were the lullabies that I sang to my children. I had a book of Beatles lyrics, and I would sing songs that I felt children would relate to, like Martha, my dear, you have always been my inspiration. Please be good to me. And oh blah da, life goes on, bra, la la, the life goes on. And as you can tell, I'm a terrible singer, but my children didn't seem to mind that. The only song I thought, which I sang for fun, and it was always as a sort of an object lesson of don't do that, was Why Don't We Do It in the Road? Okay, if you had the opportunity to portray anyone, fictional or real, who would it be? Oh, boy. Well, I played so many different characters. Fictional character, who would it be? Nothing's coming to mind. You know, that's not the way I think about. I wait for some. I'm sort of. I sort of wait for it to come to me. I and I've played so many different roles, so I don't have an answer to that. Okay, you've had a long and diverse career in theater, television, film, and voiceover work, to name a few. Looking back, have you ever been involved in any project or roles that were especially challenging, difficult, or even unpleasant to do? Many of them, which I won't go into specifically, except today in the Sunday New York Times, there's an article about a production of Dance of the Vampires, the Jim Steinman musical, that's being redone in Paris by Polanski. It was a musical based on Polanski's film, The Fearless Vampire Slayers. I did the musical on Broadway with Michael Crawford, and it was one of the biggest flops in Broadway history. And it was a very unpleasant experience because there were too many cooks in the kitchen, and what should have been a lot of fun and a terrific experience for everybody became kind of a nightmare, and that would be my answer to that. Is there any role that you regret accepting or any role that you regret turning down in your career? No. After such an awesome role, Mr. House, what jobs do you see yourself taking next? Would you see yourself in another video game or, say, a movie or TV show? Yes. I don't mean to be flippant. Sure, but I wait and see what people offer, and I see if it's something I think I'll be able to do without embarrassing myself, something that's challenging, something that's fun, something that's lucrative. You never get all of those at once, but you want to get at least 2 out of 3. So yeah, I can see myself doing a lot of different things. But you know, I'm of an age now where there aren't that many roles for people my age, and especially if you're not out there hunting and pecking for work, which I am not. You just sort of wait for something to come along that's interesting, and then you make a decision. And I'm very lucky that I'm in a position to do that. Just want to give you a big thanks for gracing our entertainment world with your exquisite talent. I also greatly admire your charity work for Doctors Without Borders and Heifer. My questions are, when did you start helping raise funds for charities? And did you ever feel like you were typecast, or do you think you shapeshifted yourself out of that? The Doctors Without Borders work that I've done, and some for Heifer, not as much as for Doctors Without Borders, has been, I started doing that. I had done other kind of charity work, but Star Trek Deep Space Nine really gave me a platform to consistently raise money for a charity that I believed in, and it's been a real blessing, and I'm very proud and grateful to all the fans who have been so generous, and it's been, I'm proud to have done it, and I don't need to be admired for it. I very early on going to conventions, sitting there signing autographs. People spend a lot of money to go to conventions, a lot of money buying stuff, and I thought, well, that's all great, but if I come away from this and all it's doing is to say, oh, what about me? I'll burn out on it, and I'll begin to feel kind of useless, and this gave it all a purpose, and so that's why I do it, and I'm happy to be doing it. Did I typecast? Every time you do a TV series for any length of time, when you come out of it, at the end of it, you are typecast. I was typecast after Benson as Clayton Endicott III. I continued to work and doing other things, but it wasn't until I got to do Odo that then I was typecast as that kind of, oh, he's a sci-fi actor. But by the time I did Deep Space Nine, I was already well into my career, well into my life. I was in my 50s, and so I wasn't really concerned about being typecast. One of the reasons I didn't do the TV series of MASH was because I did not want to spend the rest of my life playing characters like Father Mulcahy. And so that was the choice I made, and I'm glad that I did make it. So, yeah, there you go. I think that's, let me see. Wait a minute. I think that's all the questions. Yeah, it is. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I'm sorry I've been babbling on, but there you go. Thanks for your interest, and so long.